Good evening and welcome to episode 14 of Red All Over YouTube. I'm Graham Mack and I'm here with the editor of Red All Over the Land, the Liverpool fanzine, which has been the voice of the fans for 27 years. John, have I got that right?
27 and a half nearly.
27 and a half years, Red All Over the Land. This is the cover of the latest issue. It's the only surviving and the longest running Liverpool fanzine. And how are you, John Pearman?
I'm not too bad. Not too bad at all. I think my life had a bit of a lift at the weekend. Yeah,
I think everybody's did. Yeah.
Yeah, it was an extraordinary weekend. And I have to say also the sales of the fanzine before the game were very good compared to how they have been this season when we've had bad weather, night matches, etc. We thought we might sell quite a lot afterwards, but everybody was in a party mood and just decided to dance in. It was like dancing in the street. Just needed Martha Eves and the Vandellas on.
All right, we'll talk a little bit more about Sunday later on. We've got lots to get through tonight, including that recent game against a certain club from Salford. There'll be an update on our next live event, when our special guest will be Phil Thompson, and that's at 23 Hotel Anfield. And also, we're going to be talking about a couple of great books about Liverpool that you might want to check out. Let's meet the authors of those books. John, do you want to introduce our guests?
You can do that, Graham. You
okay. All right. Now, I've been practicing this name. Mantzos, did I say it right?
Exactly.
Mantzos is in Athens. And what's your connection? You're Greek, and do you feel that you're another Scouse Greek? We've already got Greek Scouser. Yeah. So what's your connection to Liverpool Football Club?
Just watching them on TV until this time. I was a kid. I first saw a Liverpool game. That astonishing strike of Steven Gerrard against Olympiacos. A Greek team. I support Panathinaikos, the rivals. So it was something quite emotional seeing Olympiacos losing that way. So, but no, it was not the reason why I started supporting Liverpool. I started supporting Liverpool from that day on because I really loved the aura of the crowd, and I was really looking at the TV. Wow, just like that. What is this? And from that day on, I started support. I found my favorite foreign football club. That journey went on, and we won the Champions League trophy in Istanbul. So I fell in love with Liverpool.
And you played a bit of football too, didn't you?
And non-league football. For my. From my football club of my village called Panegyratikos, my village called Agira, and this is the scarf of my football club, Panegyratikos.
Right.
Yeah, yes, non-league football, but okay, I have kicked a little bit of football.
Yeah. Okay, well, tell me about the book then. The book is called The Social One, Why Jurgen Klopp Was a Perfect Fit for Liverpool.
Yeah, and I have to mention that it's a kind of anniversary for my book because on this day, 3 years ago, we won Bournemouth by 2-1, thanks to that off-the-line interception by James Milner. And I was in Vienna in that day, just days before the outbreak of COVID-19, and I was watching the game, and after that, I saw the fist pumps of Jurgen Klopp before the Kop. And I thought that there's a story to be told here, and somehow I have to tell it. And so that was the day, 7th of March of 2020, that I started working in my mind the idea of writing, not only exactly writing a book, but writing something. And then we all got locked down, so I kept writing and writing. And yes, then I saw that, okay, this can be a book. So yeah, it examines Jurgen Klopp as a person, not as a football manager. The leader of the group. Why was a perfect fit for Liverpool? Not only for Liverpool as a football club, but for Liverpool as a city as well. The title, the social one, summarizes the meaning of the book. That this man works and lives with the principles of loving each other, working for each other, the principles of kind of socialism, like Bill Shankly used to say.
Exactly.
Yeah, the teamwork and love for the fellow human being. That is why Jurgen, I think, I saw that in that fist pump celebration, that there's a man who looks at the crowd and has that strong bond, that connection. And I saw this is something me, Marius, have not seen until Jürgen. Um, I have a little experience in Liverpool, of course, what I have witnessed with my eyes, but even from what I have read, I think that Bill Shankly and later on, no one reached that kind of connection like Jürgen.
Yeah.
That is
Almost like a
why.
father figure.
Exactly. Yes, I love him as a father. Sadio Mane used to say, yes, and I miss Sadio. Yeah, exactly. This is the summary of my book. It's not about why Liverpool played 4-3-3 and get pressing, all these kind of things. No,
Yeah.
it's the leader, the man, the person.
Yeah. Yeah. And you'd agree,
I,
wouldn't you,
Thank
John?
you. Thank you.
I think what you've said there, you've summed up in a few minutes just what he actually means to the Liverpool support. Um, we had a guy speaking with us back in November who said that Jurgen Klopp is Shankly, the reincarnation of Shankly, and that's not far wrong because Shankly, the first thing Shankly did was fitted with the fans, with the not just the on the football side, but the city, people of Liverpool,
Yeah.
and of course it was a totally different football world back then. But now Jurgen came, and I'll be honest, we Liverpool were playing Borussia Dortmund in a pre-season friendly in 2014, and Liverpool beat them 4-0. But I was on the cop, and I looked across to the bench, and I actually wrote in the fanzine, I wish he'd be our manager. And
Oh,
what was it? A year later, or so, just over a year later, he was. And there was something about him. He came out. Brendan Rodgers was there, in his suit and all. Jurgen Klopp came out, and you got to remember, it was August or late July or early August. He came out, he got this coat on, he got this hat on, and I thought, that's the sort of guy I like. He looked a football man, and I'd read about him when he was the coach at Dortmund when Dortmund won the league twice. They reached the European Cup final, but sadly lost. And you just got a feeling that there was something different about him. And when he came to Liverpool, I mean, again, I can remember when Brendan Rodgers took over, and Brendan Rodgers on the pitch in his suit, and Jurgen got jeans on and an open-neck shirt. They could have just picked him off the street and said, "Do you want to come and stand here and take some photos?" And that's how he looked. And right from the off, he certainly clicked with the Liverpool support. He made
exactly.
the Liverpool support come back to life because as somebody who's been going for a long, long time, the support had just lost its way. Jurgen brought the crowd back to life. He gave us the kiss of life, in fact, and we were really, really on a high from very early on. Yeah, it's not all been plain sailing. I mean, this season, the COVID season, it wasn't much fun, but you know that Jurgen can turn it round. Give him the tools to do the job, and he'll do the job. And I agree with everything you've said there. He is the right fit, but not just for the football club, but for the people who follow the football club. Tacticians are everywhere. You turn the telly on and somebody's talking. Oh, if they'd have only put somebody here and somebody there, it would have been a different. But that's not how. I don't think that's how Jurgen works. I mean, you saw on Sunday. I don't know. I don't know what Liverpool were playing. I don't know what tactics they were playing. All they seemed to me be doing was score in the second half, was scoring goals. There was nothing that wasn't done off a tactical chalkboard or anything. That was done because Jurgen Klopp had said to them, "Go out there and do it," and they did. And you know, we've seen that before. We've seen that many times before. He's got the people who follow the football club believing, and you're quite right there. And I'm sorry, I've said too much. It's your book.
No, of course. And you said many things that I have written, and of course that he turned an Ethiopiated club back to the top of the English and European game. In the summary in the back of the book, and that phrase about the reincarnation, it's something that Bruce Grobbelaar also has said. He's
Yeah,
Shankly
yeah,
reincarnation in the German body. And about that pre-season friendly, he also has said that when I saw Anfield, I thought it would be really interesting being here permanently. So, yeah, he has said that. So yeah, it's quite exciting how he had fit with Liverpool, and I remember in the first day of him as a Liverpool manager, he went out with his wife to drink beers, and he ended drinking beers with fans, and
yeah.
then they said, and fans said that this is something Bill Shankly did in his first day. He went to the city to see how Liverpool is, how Liverpool lives, and this is something no one did again, and Jürgen did it.
Yeah. Yeah. When you were researching him, what surprised you the most about the man that when you were getting pretty deep into it?
Yeah, beginning my research, I had something in my mind. Okay, some ideas. Jürgen, maybe is this? Let's research it. I was excited about how emphatically all that I had in my mind were vindicated.
Right.
Wow,
Right.
it was better than I could have imagined. My book is better than how I imagine it. Um, I think that the most exciting is about how you can use the lessons he gives to your life, especially how you bounce back, because Jürgen, as he always says, has lost more times than he had won. And how the life lesson here is, okay, you can fall, but you need to to stand up and keep going. And this is the story of Klopp's era. We lost the Champions League final. The next year we came back and won it. We lost the championship by 1 point, and the next year we bounced back and won it. We had a catastrophic season 2021, and we bounced back, being close to winning everything.
Yeah.
So
And then there's the
maybe
Barcelona game when everyone thought
yeah,
we were out,
oh my
you
god,
know?
of course,
Yeah.
and
We've got a
we all
Madrid
hope
game
for
coming
one
up that
more
hopefully will be
every
like that. Yeah.
yeah. The case is a lot different, but okay, well, who knows? Yes, that is about Barcelona. The morning before that game, he told his players, "Okay, it's quite impossible, but because of you, there is a possibility." And they
Yeah.
have started thinking all day. Anfield, an early goal, maybe. And then maybe you remember that Andy Robertson said that when Origi scored the first goal, then not only I believed, I knew it was coming, because I knew it was coming. This is the mentality, the mentality monsters, how to bounce back, and this is a life lesson, not only a lesson for football.
Well, the book is called The Social One, and it's Pitch Publishing is the publisher, right?
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And they've been
I'm
good to
really
you?
grateful of. Yeah, of course. I'm really grateful of Page Publishing from day one when we came to when the contact between us began. They were quite helpful. They showed their interest to me. So it was a nice connection for the first day, the very
Well,
first day.
Jonathon Aspey's nodding away because your book is also from Pitch Publishing, or it's been put out by
Congratulations,
Pitch
mate.
Publishing, and it's called Spice Up Your Life. Now, this is an interesting era in the history of Liverpool Football Club, the 90s, isn't it? Why did you choose to do a book about the 90s?
I feel like it was a story that needed to be told, but from my point of view, I felt like it needed telling from a certain point of view. I've done articles in the past about Liverpool, largely focusing on sort of towards the end of Dalglish's era. I've done about 87, 88, and then 88, 89. And then obviously the next period from that is when Kenny resigns, and it then goes into Souness's era. And I felt like this sort of the story of decline under Souness, the sort of gradual decline, it's not an immediate thing. It just seems like the club slowly loses its way through Souness's era. And then the story kind of regeneration and Liverpool as a football club finding its way, finding the identity of Liverpool Football Club again under Roy Evans. I felt it was a story that needed to be told and kind of credited to Roy Evans. I still feel so much that kind of all that you ever hear about is, they just attacked, and the defence was shocking. They let in loads of goals, and actually that was it. And then they had a really good game, 4-3 against Newcastle, and then that's really, all that is talked about Roy Evans is his time as manager. And I really felt like he deserved to actually, because that's the reason why the book goes through step by step, season by season, is because I wanted to tell that story of actually from the point that he comes in halfway through the season, how he stabilises things, and then how Roy Evans starts to build. But it is an amazing period of time because obviously you're going through all the changes of the Premier League and all the adaptation, the new influx of money that's coming in. And it's, Manchester United are going from strength to strength under Sir Alex Ferguson. You've got Arsene Wenger coming in at that point, and you've got Roy Evans at Liverpool trying to maintain and trying to keep pace with everybody else. And when you look at the period of time, Roy Evans as a manager, I actually think the team in a way, like when I've looked at quite a few of the seasons, there were times that there weren't enough goals scored and that actually the defence wasn't really the problem. The issue was that Robbie Fowler was just the most naturally gifted striker you've ever seen, but there was no one else consistently alongside him to provide a consistent kind of number two scorer. And actually, what kind of held Liverpool back at times through the 1990s was recruitment. Because if you look at the signings that Arsenal make, that Newcastle make, that Manchester United make, they kind of go from strength to strength and they make progress every single season. And from around 96, 97, there's a period where Evans' Liverpool that's been gradually increasing, gradually improving, then starts to slowly tail away towards the end of his reign, as I think a little bit the project loses its way. But I just felt like it was a story that desperately needed telling, and telling from a point of view where Roy Evans deserves like all the credit in the world. I was at Anfield a few weeks back, and there was one of the stewards who was with us. He said how that was his era, and he said how he absolutely loves Roy Evans to bits, and it was amazing seeing someone because I was walking around with the book and I must have looked like such an idiot walking around Anfield with my book. The bloke was like, "You're either the author or I'm going to absolutely rinse you for it." But like he spoke amazingly about how it was his era, it was his time, and that's kind of why I feel like it was a story that needed telling.
Is it your era as well? Or was it from because you're from Chester Street up in the northeast? What's your connection to Liverpool?
It's just a case of I'm kind of weird in terms of football. Like when I was being brought up, my family weren't rich enough to have Sky or anything like that. So if I was watching football, it was like when I could catch it on Match of the Day. So as you can see, I've got an Italian Torino shirt over my shoulder. Like Italian football was the football that I watched a lot growing up. But Liverpool was always a club that I felt I had an affinity for and a love for. And I feel like as I've got older and older and older, that's built and built and built. I remember watching one of my absolute favourite games of football is watching Liverpool against City, the year that Rodgers Liverpool almost won the league. And I remember watching the game against City on the I think it was 25th anniversary of Hillsborough, and I was watching that match, and I can't explain. I feel an emotion for Liverpool that just does not compare to any other team. Even though I'm from the northeast, I just honestly cannot compare it. When I watched that game, like I've never felt so much emotion watching a football game. It's just a case of any time I watch Liverpool, anytime I hear "You'll Never Walk Alone," it's like an instinctive reaction in me that I can't really explain. So despite being from the northeast, that's why Liverpool have always been a team and a club that I've loved and will always love. And Liverpool as a city is just, means the world to me.
Well, starting with the Souness era, what did Souness do wrong? What was it he got wrong? Because on paper, he was the perfect choice, wasn't he?
He was an interesting choice because the bookies' favourite was Ronnie Moran.
Right.
And Ronnie Moran turns down the job, but then later on, I think, decides that he would have wanted it and changed his mind. But by that point, it's already been given to Souness, and it's already Souness's job. Now, he'd done really well in Rangers. Like, he should get all the credit for that, along with Walter Smith for the work that he'd done. But the main criticism that I would have of Souness, and obviously this is 2020 hindsight looking back, and I know that it's something that Souness has said since, and it's something I mentioned in the book, is just that he a lot of the changes that he made too quickly.
Yeah.
He was too quick to... Dalglish had already started to rebuild the side. It wasn't like Souness came in. Dalglish's team was still perfect, and he was like, no, I'm going to rip this to shreds and start again. Dalglish had already started to make changes. He'd started to phase out Beardsley a little bit. But he just makes so many changes so quickly. He makes some really strange transfers as well, selling Steve Staunton when Staunton seemed a really solid part of the defence and had been a really solid part of the defence. He goes to Aston Villa. He sells Peter Beardsley. Now, the thing that I've noticed as I went through season by season, because the first chapter goes through Souness's era and Souness's reign to kind of set the scene for where things are at the point when Roy Evans comes in. And he sells Peter Beardsley, and then it feels like he spends the next 2.5 years desperately trying to replace Peter Beardsley, who is at that point months away from signing for Newcastle and being the Peter Beardsley from 87, 88 and that era that everybody so fondly remembers. So he makes signings like Nigel Clough and trying just desperately to replace him in whatever
Dean
way
Saunders,
he can.
Collymore. Yeah.
Oh,
did he sign Collymore?
Evans, but
he's under Evans. Okay, right.
Saunders is under Souness.
But I can remember the day Graham Souness took over, and I'd got some friends at that time who were Rangers supporters, and they were so upset. But what Souness had done, he'd gone to Rangers from Sampdoria, and this became his first. He was player manager, as you know, and he Celtic were the number one, and what he did at Rangers was he basically blew everything out of the water. You know, forget the sectarianism, forget all this. We're going to sign players who we can sign. So he built a new team, and of course that team went on to win under Walter Smith in the end nine titles. But I think when Graham came to Liverpool, he probably thought he knew the club, he knew the league, he knew the players. He could get away with things. However, like you say, he did, and he had admitted he tried to do too much too soon. But I actually had the pleasure of speaking with Peter Beardsley in 2000, and he said to me, it really hurt him when Souness sold him to Everton, and he scored a goal for Everton against Liverpool. I think it might have put them 2-1 in front, and I was in the park end, and it was, and he stood there in front of us, and he smiled. And I thought, why are you doing that? This was in the days before it was against the law to celebrate goals against your old club. You could still do it back then. And and I said to him, why did you do it? He said, because of Souness. He said, I just wanted the fans, to know what it meant to me now, because what he had done. He just wanted to get one on Souness, and that was it. But Roy Evans, again, I did actually have the pleasure of meeting Roy on a few occasions, and the first thing you'd say about Roy Evans is a gentleman. You know,
No one has a bad word to say about him, do they?
No, and unfortunately, I think he took over Liverpool at the wrong time. Not because of his football philosophy, but the nature of the game. You quite rightly said Arsenal had got Wenger, or were going to get Wenger. United were winning everything. Of course, Kenny was at Blackburn.
Yeah.
And Liverpool was still being financed by David Moores, who, if Liverpool wanted to get a transfer kitty, David Moores would sell a few more shares. You can't imagine that now. And but there was one team that Roy Evans had, and that was the 1995-1996 team.
It's incredible, yeah.
The Spice Boys, as they became known. But if you could find a lot of Liverpool fans from that era who would say that was a team that was as good as anything that they'd seen in the 80s. Maybe the 88 team was better, but that was as good as any Liverpool team they'd seen. However, they hadn't got the authority behind them. Roy hadn't got that. Roy was everybody's friend. You know, they said he could have been hard, but I mean, he had to make a difficult decision in the final when he left Neil Ruddock out. But to me, it was at the right place at the wrong time, and that was a pity, because I think had he taken over when Kenny left, it'd have been a different story.
Yeah, I could have seen that. Like, I certainly think that the rest of English football is kind of on the just drive of money, foreign imports, bringing players in from abroad. Which, not to criticise that, it's done a lot for the Premier League. It's made the Premier League into the animal that it is today. But at the same time, Liverpool, after Souness, are then going, right, no, let's get back to the boot room. Let's get back to homegrown staff, bringing people in. And they're going back to what they believe works, going back to the boot room, going back to that philosophy, playing Liverpool-style football again. It's just that the rest of English football is advancing and developing so quickly. And like you say, the finances is an issue. When you look at Liverpool's recruitment, when they do spend money, it isn't always the greatest choices. I mean, I love Stan Collymore. Like, you're totally correct. The 95-96 team is a joy to watch. I cannot explain how much, like, one of my favourite parts of the book was just researching the 4-3 against Newcastle. That was that was fun.
Well, I well remember that game, because I always wore a black leather jacket. I'd had this black leather jacket for something like over 20 years. It was my favourite jacket, and I always wore it at a game, and it was beginning to fray around the edges. And when Collymore scored that goal, the guy standing next to me pulled at the sleeve, and the sleeve came off. and he threw it in the air. So that was it. I had to get rid of the coat. And
Did you keep the jacket?
Yeah, the leather jacket had gone. Yeah.
If we're talking wardrobe malfunctions, though, surely Roy Evans must have been responsible for the white suits. That's got to be a black mark against him, hasn't it?
You know what's amazing is that that was such. I talk about it obviously because it's it's one of the things, but it's such a controversial issue. And
not really. It was a mistake.
I cannot explain why. Like, from a fashion point of view, they're absolutely disgusting, but then brilliant in their disgustingness. But obviously, it's still at a time when Britain's changing. You've got Britpop, you've got Oasis, and then you've got that as like an example of this kind of new Britain that's developing, and players, and it is kind of the start of like footballers being celebrities and personalities. You've got Beckham on his way in a couple of years. And all it really was is that the footballers had sponsorships and deals. David James had done work with Armani, and he was able to get the team Armani suits. Yes, pretty shocking colour choice, but at the end of the day, my day job is as a teacher, and when I say it to my students, like in the 1990s, this was considered like really daring and really controversial that they wore white suits, and they just look because, like, from their point of view, they see footballers coming in with like headphones and bags and whatever they wear nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do talk about it, but I talk about it
But
from a point of view.
back then, there weren't many that wore boots other than black, were there? So yeah, to have white suits.
Yeah, John Barnes wears red boots at some point through the book. I believe it's 96, 97 that he wears red boots, and that's pretty daring. That's pretty daring at that point. But yeah, like, I just talk about it from a point of view. Like it's kind of like a sponsorship deal. A lot of the players were starting to like get into modelling and things like that, and they'd done work. I know David James, like I said, had done work with Armani. They'd done work with other sponsorships, and it was that's kind of where the suits came from, as well as I think the players thought it would be funny.
They actually did. They were wearing them ironically, shall we say?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was inside Wembley, and I was sitting along the side, and Liverpool came out in these suits. Everybody was looking at them because Manchester United come out in tracksuit tops.
Mm-hmm.
You thought, okay, but you were right. We'd gone through an era where if you got to the cup final, the first thing you did was made a record. At least we were spared that.
Yeah,
I don't know what they'd have come up with. It probably, I don't know. I just don't know what they'd come up with.
I'd have liked to see it now.
All right. Well, the book is called Spice Up Your Life. It's put out by Pitch Publishing, which is the same people that are putting out the social one. So check them out. Good books. All right, let's bring it up to date. Let's talk about Sunday. Who wants to get started and talk? John, you should start because I know you were there. Yeah.
Well, somebody asked me what it was like, and I said, "Well, I don't know. I'm still suffering from shell shock." It was. I didn't know. I have never seen 45 minutes or 48 minutes, as Jurgen would have put it, because he gives you the actual number of minutes, like it. People are trying to come up, not Liverpool fans, but the pundits who love this sort of thing, and saying Manchester United were a disgrace. Manchester United, they were just like they'd been hit by Tyson Fury. They didn't know what had happened. And quite frankly, I don't think anybody in the crowd did. Because it was such a happening that the two goals in, 3 minutes after half time. It was something else. And you could see from the faces on the United players. You mentioned earlier about Barcelona, the players on their faces when Liverpool went 4-0 up. This was mirrored on Sunday at Anfield, and the thing about Liverpool that day, they on Sunday they went on from 4, 5, 6, and 7, and the crowd would urging them to go on even more.
I heard on the TV, I heard the cop chanting, "We want 6" when it was 5-0.
Well, I think they ended up shouting, "We want 7, 8, 9." I think it was, it was incredible. But the thing was, let's be fair. At half time, Liverpool were 1-0 up. But if the teams had gone off at half time and the scores had been level, 0-0 or 1-0, nobody would have grumbled. Nobody from Liverpool side could have complained because it was that sort of game. The second half, they were hit. And they couldn't take it, but nobody could have done. It just happened. All right, 1 or 2 United players lost their heads, but that's not unnatural. Any football team that's getting a beating, that can happen to them
by a rival that big as well. Yeah,
but I also think that the referees didn't want to send anybody off. They thought, well, if you get off, you're going to suffer more staying on. and I think that's why he left Fernandez on.
As a punishment, left him.
As a punishment, yeah. But, it was incredible. But the mood before the game was one of a bit like when we played Everton, totally different level of opposition, but there was trepidation around the ground. People saying, "How do you think they'll go on?" Well, I don't know. They're favourites. They were the team that was playing all the football. We've had a couple of reasonable results. The best result we've had this year, prior to Sunday, was the away at Newcastle. But Liverpool under Jurgen, they've had this ability to, not so much this season, but definitely last season and in the 2 seasons before COVID, where they could take a team out of a game in 10 minutes. They could score 2-3 goals inside 10 minutes, and that's it. The game was finished, and that was it. But I think on Sunday, Manchester United just didn't know what was hit them, and I think people coming on and just lambasting them for their attitude. What did they expect? As I said, they must have felt like they'd just been hit by Tyson Fury, because it knocked them out, and that was it. And when you think that the only save De Gea made was from Harvey Elliott, that he only made one save in the game from a shot. I mean, he dealt with a few bits and pieces, but that was the only shot he saved. All the others went in, and I still don't know what would have happened if there hadn't been a net on that Mo Salah 4th goal, because he didn't just hit it; it flew. It was like a rocket. But I don't know what the reaction was in Athens.
Did you watch it in Athens, Mantzos?
Yeah, of course.
Where did you watch it?
I stopped celebrating after 5-0 because I was with my friend and we were looking at each other. What is going on here? We were like this kind of. I was watching the TV with one of friends of mine, George, and we were absolutely surprised about the margin of the scoreline. I think that we have not yet realized that history was written on Sunday, because whatever comes next for Liverpool this season, even if we fail to reach top 4, this 7-0 victory will stay forever in not only in our minds, in every football fan's mind. It's a result and a performance we will tell to our children. Our children will watch videos of the goals. They were asking, what was that? And I think that here comes another big life lesson of Jurgen that I'm talking about in the book, that you have to enjoy every single moment in life. Because, maybe this is not something defining the season, but it's a moment. It's an astonishing moment. You have to enjoy it, because you don't know how much you will live. Celebrate when you have. So
well, if I'd have been with you in Athens, I think we'd have opened a bottle of Metaxa.
Do we know why has it come out yet? Why he didn't do the fist pump at the end? He wound up the cop, but then he kind of gave it this, and he didn't.
Respect. That was respect. You know, you don't gloat, because if you start gloating, that would have been seen as gloating. But if you won 2-1 and been a late winner, fine. But no, don't gloat. And we got beat 7-2 by Aston Villa, although there was nobody there. But you didn't want people from Aston Villa coming out and saying, "Look at that! Look what we've done." We beat them, and they've given us some beatings over the years. So this was our turn. But like Arios has just said, there, people will talk about this forever. It's like the 5-0 at Goodison, like the 4-0 over Barcelona. If you were there, you will tell your family, you'll tell your children, you'll tell anybody. And it was amazing. It was just all so amazing to be there and watching it.
Where did you watch it, Jonathan? I
watched it from the comfort of my front room.
Yeah, and how did it go in your house then?
Pretty incredible. I was the same as you guys though. Like by half time, I thought like 1-0 is a pretty decent result so far. Like
Especially against them. What was it? 11 games undefeated up until then.
and on such a good run, having won the League Cup. Like I genuinely went into the game thinking, the performance against Wolves had been much, much, much better. And when I watched that, I actually recognised Klopp's Liverpool. Like, actually, when I watched it, I thought that's how Klopp's Liverpool play. But at the same time, I didn't exactly go into the United game thinking it was going to be a win, because United have been so kind of consistent and solid lately. So by 1-0 at half time, I was pretty damn happy with that. But then just absolutely blew them away. And like you say, Klopp's team can in 10 minutes just completely take a game away from people, and that's exactly what happened. It was an incredible game. I thought it was a complete team performance as well. There was not one single person on that
I'd
team.
agree with that. Finding a man of the match, I wouldn't be able to place it, because they were all great.
Yeah, the main ones that stood out for me, but like you said, it was everybody. I thought Salah was incredible, but just because he seemed to take every opportunity that he got.
Harvey Elliott needs to get a mention.
I will say that because I think that that was a decision that decided the game. That Klopp picked up in the starting lineup Harvey Elliott. I was expected Stefan Bajcetic, but
yeah, me too.
I think that this was the case because he was an offensive player, so he occupied the best player of United, the game changer of United, Casemiro. Casemiro was not in the game, so because Harvey was all around, and that gave space to Gakpo to play a kind of Firmino role. So I think that decided the game tactically. I think.
Yeah, we also contained Rashford well as well.
Needs mention, yes.
Yeah. What about you, John?
What man of the match?
Yeah.
Jurgen. he picked the team. Look, when we got beat a few weeks ago at Brighton, there were people blaming him and the owners now. So let's give him the credit for Sunday. But I tell you, the one goal that stands out for me, and I've watched it so many times since, was the third one, because when United were attacking and we win the ball on the edge of our penalty area, and Gakpo gets the ball and he's maybe 15, 20 yards outside our penalty area. And he puts the ball out to Salah. The next time he touches the ball is in the 6-yard box doing that little dink.
Yeah.
He ran something like 80 yards and nobody gone near him. And, they couldn't keep up with him. But I think that front three we played on Sunday, I want to see play as often as they can, because they could be pretty lethal. They could be the new Fun Boy 3, as we used to call it when we had Bobby and Sadio playing. But I wouldn't pick a man of the match. I'd say I'd give that to Jurgen, because he picked the team. He sent them out there, and But again, going back to the social one, aren't we lucky?
It's very nice that we can talk about a new front three where there are two more guys, Diogo Jota and Luis Diaz. Absolutely. We have 5 players for a 4-3, so that's great. I think that the future is very bright for Liverpool's attack, and I also enjoyed Bobby contribution. Seemed like a great farewell, a long farewell, yes, but that was astonishing. He's my favorite player in Klopp's era, and maybe as long as I watch Liverpool, and I will really miss him. So it was quite astonishing.
Watching the game on Liverpool TV, and I've watched it, say, about 4 times. I watched it just before we came on air tonight. Disappointing for me is, like, Bobby comes on, and the 2 commentators, John Bradley and Gary Gillespie, don't mention it. They don't mention the crowd are singing his name. And
Si, senor.
Yeah.
Really, I'm sure Sky mentioned it.
Sorry?
I can say Sky mentioned it. That's strange that Liverpool TV didn't.
Well, it's Gary. Well, see, I don't watch Sky. I've got a thing about that. But
I get that.
But No, I mean, I just thought this is a time to really say this is the build up to the finale, and we're hoping. I've mentioned it to a couple of people that on the last home game, for the last home game, which is I think is it Aston Villa? We have a Bobby Firmino day.
What about
And
the chances of a mosaic, John?
well, that's what I've mentioned it to somebody, and it's already been put on Twitter. So it'd be great just to have that for him on that day, the last home game of the season.
Yeah, yeah.
And he has run his course. You can't turn back time too often. But what a man, what a player, and it's never been a problem, never caused a problem when he's been out the side. Not been complaining for transfers, not publicly anyway, complaining or asking for transfers. He just got on with his job, and he scored some great goals. And my favourite one was the one when we beat Arsenal 5-1, I think it was, and he did the slalom through their defenders, and it was incredible. Yeah,
No look.
Yeah, they know what passes.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. I don't think he looked on Saturday or Sunday either. But if he did, he was looking. Well, Manchester United didn't look because they didn't dare.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
so we're in fifth now. The top four finish. It's on then, isn't it? I mean, if you'd have spoken to any Liverpool fan before the United game, we would have said it's a bit of a stretch. But now it feels like we can touch it.
It's the form of everybody else around Liverpool. Like Newcastle have fallen off. You've got Tottenham, who seem to be just really inconsistent month to month. Sometimes they look fantastic, sometimes they don't look good at all. And if Liverpool can come into form now and just pick it up, like step by step by step, and take all the momentum from the weekend, absolutely destroy Bournemouth, I would argue, I certainly think it's on. Everyone else around Liverpool is starting to drop points, starting to lose form. It is a possibility. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but it's certainly a possibility.
How important are the fans in this, John, into making this happen?
Well, I think the fans are very important. We shouldn't have to create an atmosphere. To create an atmosphere, we shouldn't be motivated by the opposition. It should be the dumb thing. And we've got a game coming up. The date's not been set yet, but we'll be playing Fulham. We should be turning Anfield into a cauldron of sound for a game against Fulham.
Yeah,
it'll happen naturally against Tottenham or against Arsenal when they come, because that's the norm. But you need it when you play Fulham. Unfortunately, only 1,000 can go to Bournemouth, but you need that noise, and that's not been there this season. I mean, I was at that Wolves game, and it was only in the last 30 minutes when the referee had upset the crowd that the noise started to come, and the team responded. And it's a two-way thing. It's a two-way thing.
But what's it down to, though, John? Why is the crowd now and again not as lively at the smaller games? Is it just that?
Well, you've got a lot of things. Maybe we got a bit complacent after last season and the previous seasons, but you also get a lot of people coming to Anfield from abroad. They're there for the first time. They may not.
Nothing wrong with being a fan from abroad. But when you say that, John, you're talking about people who are basically going for they're basically. I mean, they're known as tourists for a reason. It's part of we're going to Liverpool, we should go to a football match kind of thing. Do you think, rather than lifelong fans who want to be there and realize how special it is to be there, and how that when you go, you're responsible in some way for the performance on the field as well, just as much as not just as much, but how important it is to go and support.
When I say about the people that come once a season or once in a lifetime, you can tell. I know what the Greek supporters are like, because I've been to watch Liverpool play Panathinaikos and Olympiakos, so I know what the fans can be like there. They can be very feisty and make a noise. But the people who come on a regular basis, I know people come from Ireland, from France, from Germany, from Norway, or any of the Scandinavian countries, and they know what it's all about. It's the people who have become fans
because of Sky.
What, through the success?
Maybe because of Madrid or something like that. You know, it's not just Liverpool though. We should, it's same at Manchester United, same at Tottenham and Arsenal. They get a hell of a lot of people who come in there. It's a tick list. You know, people don't like me saying that, but it's a tick list. They've got to say, right, I've been there, done that. But Marius, you've been here. You've come and researched your book. You know what the city's like. You've got a feel for the city. But some of these people, they'll come, they'll go home, and that's it. You know. But
the half and half scarf wearer, John.
Yeah. I have a thing about that.
Yeah. Were there many of those on display before the match?
I saw some people who weren't wearing them in the first hour. Not many, but they were all wearing them in the early part. Yeah. But they were just they are there. They were you know it's a thing. But no, I've got nothing against people coming from anywhere in the country, the world, to watch Liverpool and being part of it. But feel for the city. You know, I'm an outsider, but my roots were in Liverpool. But you got to know what the city's all about.
Yeah. Ahead of the game, John, both managers, I think they were told to do this, but they said something about, they were talking to fans and warning them about chanting about disasters. Now, we know that means they were asking the Manchester United fans not to chant murderers at Liverpool fans. But when they did that, they also said, on the report I heard, I think it was TalkSport, I don't know, they also said that the fans have been asked from both sides not to chant about disasters. Was that fair? Because that they're, alluding to the Munich chant. Because, I came back from Australia in 1997, and I can say I've not been anywhere near as many matches as you, but I've never heard that chant. I haven't heard, since 97, I haven't heard that chant once in Anfield, and been to many Liverpool-Manchester United games. And in fact, the last time I heard the Munich song was actually in a pub in New Zealand, and it was a West Brom fan that was singing it. It wasn't actually at Anfield. Was it fair when they gave that warning that they were almost accused Liverpool fans of singing the Munich song to Man U fans when it doesn't actually get sung, but the Murderers one does at every Liverpool Man United game?
Well, on Sunday, I can't be 100% certain, but I didn't hear anything from the United fans. That was mainly because of how loud it was at Anfield, a bit like when we played Everton. But the reason, it's sad that the managers have to come out, or the clubs come out and say these things.
Well, the managers are only the spokesman, aren't they?
But I know where they're coming from, and it's not just happening when Liverpool play Manchester United. When Manchester United play Leeds, it's going on because some Leeds fans were killed in Istanbul a couple of years before we went there. And Manchester United fans taunt them about that, and Leeds respond with the Munich stuff.
They do, okay, right.
And it does happen, and fans do sing about these disasters. It's sick.
Yes.
And that's all I can say about it. But certainly on Sunday, there was nothing from our end. Well, there was 2 chants of you, man. You know what?
Yeah. But
and I'm sure they were coming up with a few you Scouse so and so's as well.
But that's different. Yeah. That's not accusing someone of being a murderer.
No.
Yeah.
But it does happen, and sadly, I think it will continue to happen. It's a society issue.
It's just that, when a couple of shows ago when we had George Sefton on, ground announcer at Anfield, he had to make an announcement. He was forced, and he told us the story on the air that he was forced to make an announcement about the Rent Boys, the Chelsea things that Liverpool fans, but there was no announcement made about what the Chelsea fans were chanting. So it did seem one-sided, which is why it affected me, I think, when I heard that report and they were saying, it was both sets of fans chanting about disasters, when I don't think, it's very common at all for Liverpool fans to chant about Munich,
is it just like needless neutrality? Like that they're so concerned about how both sides will react that they end up
maybe.
and not making a point at all in general.
And it may have been the right thing to do instead of, if they'd only directed it at Manchester United and they felt they were being picked on, they may have been worse. Who knows? I don't know. It just felt wrong to me.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Oh, well. There were announcements. Well, I was watching on TV and there were announcements. What was George I couldn't make it out. What was George going on about, John?
It wasn't
and there was a
George.
female. There was a female announcer as well making announcements.
That's the one that you can hear. That's where she tells everybody not to stand up whilst play. It's. I think they'll give up. It's pre-recorded. It must be.
But the cop's going to stand for the whole match against United and all the big European games and Everton. That's just the way. They've even put rail seating in the Anfield Road and a bit of the cop as well. So then to tell people to sit down.
But the thing is, they make this announcement if Liverpool were playing against Fulham. They make this announcement to please be seated during active play or what it is. You can stand up and cheer a goal, but to please be seated the rest of the time. It's rubbish, and it's like they've got a script and they've got to read it. But go to any ground now. What you call the home ends, they do not sit down. They've not sat down, I'm going to say, for possibly 10 years. It doesn't happen. But it's just the following the script. Well, we did. If something went wrong, we did tell them to sit down.
I see. Right.
Well, safe standing is on its way back anyway, so it's not as if it's not being trialled across English football anyway.
Yeah. Well, they've had it in most of the Anfield Road end for this is the second season it's been there, and the back of the cop's got it too. So it seems silly. All right. Well, Hotel Anfield you've sent me a couple of videos, John. What are we about to see? This is the fans watching the match on Sunday?
No, this is after the match.
Oh, this is after the match. Okay. Yeah. All right. So what's this for? Let's have a look at this. We'll have a look at it first, eh? Okay. Now that's the marquee out the back of 23 Hotel Anfield. Where did you get that from?
Our good friend David Jaggs, who's actually the voice you can hear.
Is he actually playing? Right.
Yeah, that's his band playing after the match, and the fans seem quite happy. And I dare say the bar takings were quite good as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. But the Hotel Anfield is a great place to go before or after a game, and you'll always be made welcome. It's a wonderful venue, and we're using it for our events. And
we had a great night in that big marquee.
Yeah.
Was it November? Now we did this with John Aldridge and Steve McMahon, who were excellent, and Dave Jaggs played the music as well, and we raised a ton of money for Abbey Lawn's care home, and it was just a hell of a night. Well, we should look forward then to the next one with Phil Thompson, John. How did you get Phil Thompson to agree to be Read All Over the Land's latest guest for our live show?
Well, there's a company called Soccer Speakers, and we got in touch with them, and we asked for Phil. And we asked for somebody else for this night originally, but that wasn't possible. So we got Phil, and the 3rd of June will be the date. Tickets are now on sale, so tell your friends.
And where'd they get the tickets, John?
From the www.readallovertheland.com.
Right, so that's you can see it that way. You can see this down there.
And
that way.
The idea is to celebrate the third and final, the 50th anniversary of the third and final league title of Bill Shankly, plus the first Liverpool European trophy, which was the UEFA Cup, which they won that year.
73. Yeah.
So we're going to hopefully celebrate them. But Phil Thompson was just coming through into the team at that time. I think it was a teenager. And he became obviously a cornerstone of many great Liverpool sides for the next 10 years or so, winning a few trophies on the way.
Yeah, it'd be a great night. I mean, because if you missed any, by the way, if you missed the last one in November, if you go into the description of this video in YouTube, even if you're watching live, it's already there. There's a link there to the video from that night, and the whole night is pretty much recorded and there with John Aldridge and Steve McMahon. So you can check that out. But what we had with the auction as well, John, we had some stellar auction prizes. Are you organising prizes as well for an auction on the night too of Liverpool?
Yes,
still?
we're going to do the same. We're not going to have so many because this is will be a bit more organised. We're going to get some very, very good auction prizes and a few raffle prizes and raffle tickets.
I wonder if we'll have Spice Up Your Life and the social one. I wonder if we'll have signed copies of those on the night, John.
We could only ask these two gentlemen to sort that out.
More than happy to arrange.
Brilliant. Okay. All right. Well, check that out.
I'm going to Crete in June, but you couldn't drop me one off, could you?
Well, that's the 3rd of June, so put that in your diary. 3rd of June, 23 Hotel Anfield, Phil Thompson, and you get the tickets at redallovertheland.com. They will sell out very quickly, so get them while because the last night sold out very quickly as well, didn't it, Joe? Yeah. So 3rd of June, Hotel Anfield.
We've got other plans, and towards the end of the year, we want to do another special one. It will be November the 18th, which will be the actual 28th anniversary of Red All Over the Land, the actual day.
Oh, the actual day. But you can't say who that guest is just yet, can you?
Not yet,
still?
no.
No, but we can say Phil Thompson for the 3rd of June. Maybe we'll do a thing where if you go to the 3rd of June, you'll get a voucher, and that'll help you get a ticket to the one.
Yeah,
remember the vouchers? Yeah. So I don't know if you want to do that. And then there's something else you're planning is the memorabilia fair. Yeah.
Yes, the day after the Phil Thompson event, we're hoping to do this football program and memorabilia fair where we're going to invite people from all over the country to come up and purchase a table and sell their wares. It's something that I've been interested in for a long time, but never actually had the opportunity of doing it. So this is what it's going to be, and that's on June the 4th.
June the 4th, the following day. So if you're making a trip to Liverpool, especially for that event, if you're from outside Liverpool, then you can go to that the next day, especially if you're staying at Hotel Anfield or near the ground, because it'll be right there. Yeah.
So,
all right.
Other things in the pipeline, but it's a case now of testing the water on a few things. But this is the year of this is our year of also celebrating Merseybeat, the Beatles, and football. So they are all linked in.
Yeah, because 63 was the big year, the breakthrough year for the Beatles, and that was 60 years now then?
From 60 years, yeah. This month, I believe, was when the first LP came out.
Please, man.
Album to people who are not quite au fait with the language of the 60s.
Okay. You mentioned the Bournemouth game is coming up, and then we've got Madrid. How do you think we'll go? Anybody want to jump in on this one?
I'll let these two gents come in first.
I'd be terrified to be Bournemouth if it was me.
Really? Yes. Yeah. But you just never know with this team, though, do you? You just never know. We hope that it's not. You know, the result on Sunday has been described as a freak result, and 7-0 is a freak result against Manchester United. But we want it to be a new dawn, not a false dawn, don't we?
If there hadn't been an improvement lately, then I think you could say that. But there has been a slow and gradual improvement. It's not like the result, as much as we all may say we were surprised, and like we were, but it wasn't like Liverpool have been shocking for the last month. and then just out of nowhere we've beaten United 7-0. It's not how it's worked. There has been a gradual improvement. Like I said, the Wolves game was the first time I'd seen Liverpool look like Klopp's Liverpool for a while.
Yeah.
It has been a gradual process. I still think against Madrid, as much as it might be better, I now wish the second leg was at Anfield. And the first leg had been in Spain.
Yeah.
I think
if the second leg was at Anfield, we'd feel like we've got a shot there, especially after the Barcelona experience.
It'd feel like Barca again. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that'll be a potential issue, but you can't count like Mario says, you cannot count this Liverpool out at any point because of the spirit and the sheer will and desire that Klopp instills in them.
The other thing actually is our form has gone up with that result on Sunday, but Real have actually slipped a bit because they lost to Barca in the Spanish Cup. They only drew on Sunday, and I believe they got beat a couple of weeks ago. So, they're now tempering the drift of Barcelona or something like that. So, yeah, that's a straw. There's a bale of ages gone past me. I've clutched that.
I was in a group of friends yesterday, and someone asked another one, do you believe that Liverpool can come back in Madrid? And he said that if you don't believe it, ask Leo Messi if Liverpool can come back from 3-goal difference. And then I said, you can also ask Carlo Ancelotti for that. Of course, for 3-goal difference. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
In the most comebacks come.
As far as I'm concerned, it would take it'd be another miracle, and we've been used to miracles, but it would take another miracle. I don't see it happening, if I'm honest, but it's a game of football. We'll see. I'm more now thinking we've got to beat Bournemouth, then we've got to play. We've got Manchester City away, we've got Arsenal at home, got Chelsea away, Arsenal at home. They're the games you've got to win. They're the ones that's going to get you through to next season. And I think we're all on a bit of a high. Let's just hope that we remain on a high down at Little Bournemouth. So that's where that's to me the bigger game. That's the bigger game. If we beat Bournemouth, if we beat Bournemouth, then the results go our way with fourth.
Yeah.
It'll be a different game. Like they'll sit back a lot. Like they're not going to try and come out and play like United were. And I don't like. I mean, they could go to pieces like United did, but they won't try and play. So tactically it'll be a much different game than the weekend was.
Yeah. But they were also 2-0 up against Arsenal, and they took a pummeling after that. So, Bournemouth won't be easy. You've got to go there. It's a small ground, 12,000 people or whatever, and they need the points. They need the points to stop up.
Of course.
So, as I say, that to me that's the biggest game. So the next game is always your biggest. I think Jurgen says that.
Yeah. And not winning at Bournemouth could be considered as a setback, not only football-wise, but in the moral of the team, in the confidence of the team.
Yeah.
And I think that in Madrid, Liverpool have to go step by step. First, they need to win. Liverpool Klopp said before Barcelona game that if we fail, let's fail in a beautiful way. So Liverpool will go to Madrid to win the game. If there's to score a goal, then not concede one, then try to score a second. And the story goes on. If they can do it, okay, yeah. And I think that the low expectations from the team would help Liverpool play in a free
take the pressure off.
Exactly.
And Mario, you sound like Jurgen's press conference there.
That's a compliment.
If we score one, well, maybe we'll score two. Yeah. Well,
It's interesting.
I'll actually be on the Spanish coast down in near Malaga. So if we win that one, I'll be opening a bottle of brandy there. Yeah.
All right.
So,
John, you mentioned Jurgen's press conference, and what Jurgen's been saying to the press made it into Alan Green's column in the latest Read All Over the Land Liverpool fanzine.
yeah.
He, for anyone who doesn't know, there was a period there when Alex Ferguson refused to talk to the BBC, and that was because of Alan Green. And Alan Green, the former BBC commentator, is now a columnist in Read All Over the Land, and he tells the story of what happened and how he fell out with Alex Ferguson. And he's very open in the column because he's not on the payroll of the BBC or any other broadcaster right now. And if you read his columns in the fanzine, you'll see he just goes for it. I mean, he's never once held back, has he, John?
No,
but he does also mention from a few weeks back when Klopp refused to talk to a journalist, even though we think it was a case of mistaken identity, don't we?
That's what somebody said. But yeah, it was when things were going wrong, and as we said, the last thing Ten Hag wanted on Sunday was someone to put a microphone in under his nose. And when we lost that game at Wolves, wasn't it? Jurgen didn't want to speak to the press about it because what can you say? You can't turn around and defend it. You can't turn around and say it didn't happen. So the press should leave it alone. Yeah, I agree with what Alan said in this issue. Don't if you can't make up your own mind, don't go and ask the manager. Don't go and report what you see, and that's what Alan always did. Alan told the truth, and he's been a subscriber to Read All Over the Land for probably 15 years, and he started to write articles a couple of years ago when he finished with the BBC. He said he can say what he likes now.
Oh, and he does. It's one of my favourite bits of every time. His column is one of my favourite bits of Read All Over the Land when he's in there. What else should we look out for in the latest issue, John?
Well, it's basically everybody's written in their stories. It goes match by match, so there's a few downbeats. Like losing to Real, but it's not as morbid as the one previous when we'd lost all the games. So this one just picked up a little bit. And there's a good story that really is like the spice up your life. It's called the Phoenix Seasons. It's all about when Roy Evans and was the manager and Graham Souness and how we had to come through those periods. So yeah, we're getting some new contributors, which is good. Yeah. And we could do with a few more. So if it
is the voice of the fans. For anyone who doesn't know, it's the fans that write the fanzine, and you're the editor. Yeah.
And if
you put it together.
Either of you two guys want to send in an article regularly or now and again, fine.
That's a big
sorry.
Mm-hmm. That sounds great. More than up for that.
Yeah. It's Fans magazine. The more articles come in, the less I have to do. It's good. But,
all right. So, John, you've got.
I'd love to have something about the Greek football, how Greek football is now. You very rarely read about it.
Yeah.
And I love the rivalry of intercity teams, and as I say, Liverpool became quite close with Olympiacos because of the stadium disaster in the Gate 86, was it? The
82, 81, yes.
Yeah, so but it's good if we get other people telling us about rivalries elsewhere.
And also Olympiacos City Piraeus is a port, like Liverpool. Yeah.
Right.
Dockers and all this kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, the fanzine, you get it on match days from John Pearman. You'll hear him shouting, "Read All Over the Land, only £2." John's behind the main stand. You'll see Steve Hales outside the Albert or between the Albert and the Cop. Does Andy not still sell at Flagpole Corner, John?
Yeah. Martin.
Martin is at Anfield Road then?
No, Martin's at the Flagpole. We've got two at Flagpole Corner
Right. Okay.
Um,
Right.
and we're hoping to have somebody behind the Anfield Road end next season when it finally reopens.
When it's all finally reopens. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that, you could always subscribe, and you do that at redallovertheland.com.
That's it. Yeah.
Because there's subscribers all over the world. Hey, guys, it's been
All over the
great
world.
to have you on. Thanks again, John, for making this all happen, and for 27 years, coming up to 28 years. We hope to see loads of people at the next live event, 3rd of June. Phil Thompson, tickets available, redallovertheland.com. Mantzos, all the way from Athens in Greece. Thanks for telling us all about the social one, and the publishers again of that one who've been nice to everybody. What's their name? Pitch Publishing.
Pitch
And
Publishing. Pitch Publishing, yes.
Pitch Publishing. And Jonathon Aspey, thanks for telling us about Spice Up Your Life and a really interesting period of Liverpool Football Club.
And I hope to see you in
final
person.
Just one final thing. I put that book on my table. My partner, she walked in and saw it and said, "What's that all about?" I've never told a football.
It's like a lifestyle advice book.
Yeah. But
Thought
you were what?
No.
All right, let's not go there, John. All right, okay. But thanks to everyone for coming on, and we hope to see you. If you can make it to June the 3rd, that'd be great. And until next time, from everybody here, thank you very much, and you'll never walk alone.
Thank you very much, lads. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Thank you.